All right. Hello. Hello. Let's get this started. Hello. Hello. I hope everyone can hear me. Hi. All right. So today I will be, hey, um, I am going to be going through hey, how's it going? Through a all levels yoga practice, sup. Um, and I thought that you could all join me here today. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for showing up. Let's make our way to a yoga mat, a towel, a piece of grass, a piece of carpet, whatever works for you. We have my assistant, my trusty assistant, Carter, who may or may not be helping us today. So let's make our way to our yoga mats. And let's come to a nice, easy seat. I'll get Carver to come sit over here. He's adorable, I know. Hey. Carver. Oh, the technical difficulties. Anyways, so let's come to a nice, easy seat on our mat. So that can look like whatever works for you. Wherever you're at, I would just ask you to make sure both of your sit bones are underneath your body and your spine is nice and long. So your legs can be crossed, they can be out to the side, they can be straddled, whatever feels comfy here. You can even feel free to bring a block underneath your sit bones or a big book just to help prop you up a little bit. So when you make your way to your easy seat, feel free to bring your hands down onto your lap here. And take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale everything out. Nice, that's exactly what I needed. So let's inhale, this time shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale it out. And then just nice and easy, either keeping the eyes closed or keeping the eyes open for presencing yourself. Let's begin just to take a moment to notice our surroundings and the environment we're in, whether we're at home, outside, at work, with friends. Just begin to notice. Notice any sounds you hear, whether it's in the room with you or whether it's outside the room. Notice any smells in the air, dinner, candles, dogs. Notice the feeling of the temperature on your skin here. Are you cold? Are you warm? Are you comfy? And then take a minute to just check out your mental landscape here. Are you stressed out? Are you joyful? Are you lethargic? Just taking a moment to notice, to recognize how you're feeling, labeling that feeling, whatever it is. I'd say right now mine's a little nervous. And then breathing everything out. Beautiful. Keeping the eyes open or closed here, I want to come into a little bit of breath work, a little bit of pranayama. And the reason why I want to get into that before we move into a little bit of movement is because I want us to be able to check out how we're doing. So we have, as you probably know, the parasympathetic nervous system, and the sympathetic nervous system. So those are the two things that help us balance our body. We have the flight or flight response or the rest and digest response. So oftentimes in our society and what we're doing, we're constantly at a kind of high level stress factor where we're constantly going, we're constantly trying to produce, to create, to do all of this stuff that can be really intense. And when our body gets there, we have the hormones running through us like cortisol, and it just jacks our heart rate up, our breathing gets all funky. And instead of like having this balance in our body, we're really at a heightened sense. So I want us to take a moment to just kind of calm down and get in our rest and digest system, so that we can find a little bit of homeostasis where healing and presence begins. So coming into some breath work, we'll all take our right hand preferably to our stomach here. Sitting up nice and tall, we're going to take a nice deep breath in and feel the belly expand. Then gently exhale it out. Now we're going to come into a little yogic breathing. So we're going to breathe in for the count of 4 and then exhale out for the count of 5. So that looks something like this. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going here. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more breaths on your own. Gently releasing the hand down to the top of your knee or your thigh. And just coming back to your normal breath here. Noticing if you feel a little bit looser or more present or just a little bit more relaxed. And then we'll all gently blink open the eyes here if they're not open already. Bringing the hands to the tops of the knees. We're going to use our hands to kind of anchor our shoulders to our knee points here. So anchoring into the sit bones first, we're going to start to take some full body circles. So grabbing onto the knees, we're going to slowly come all the way forward. Trying here first to begin to work into our thighs, slowly coming back, using the knees to help push your sit bones into the ground. Yeah, and then coming all the way to the back of the room, and then all the way to the front. Trying to stay nice and heavy in the lower half here, and just slowly opening into the hips, like we're stirring something or grinding something, or if we were like a tornado and we could slow it down, we could just see it cycling really, really slow. One more circle to this side, and we'll take it to the opposite side. Coming forward, maybe even pulling the heart and the chest forward. And then coming all the way back, maybe rounding the spine towards the back of the room, tucking the chin. Yeah, and maybe even trying going a little bit slower than you think you need or a little bit faster. Just trying different things and seeing what works for you. Nice, one more circle here. Yeah, really getting into the hips, bringing some fluidity to the hips. And then sitting up nice and tall. Beautiful. We'll inhale, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale, roll the shoulders down and back. Nice. Beautiful. We'll bring the hands down. We're going to bring the hands and interlace them behind our head here so that we're like cradling our head. And again, rooting into the sit bones, being nice and heavy. We're going to inhale and open up the elbows up towards the ceiling here and looking up. And then we're going to exhale and bring the elbows to meet towards one another, tucking the chin, tucking the head, and finding a nice big curve in the spine. I almost said scurve. Finding your scurve in your spine. And then coming all the way up, releasing the hands out. Nice. And we'll slowly make our way into a tabletop pose. So coming onto our hands and our knees here and setting up our foundation here, bringing our hands down to the mat and really spreading all 10 fingers. So the hands are really spread out here. We have our knees about hip width distance apart, and our feet can be either curled under or we can come to the tops of our feet here. Nice, beautiful. And we're just gonna make tiny little hip circles here. So from side to side here, from top to bottom, kind of like we're making an oval shape with our circles to one side, pushing in and out through the hands, and then revolving the circle, switching the circle, taking the circle to the opposite side now. Bringing some more fluidity into our hips. We sit and we walk all day, so um, we tend to have a lot going on in our hips. Yeah, nice, beautiful. And then we'll begin to take some cat and cows. So we're gonna inhale and we're gonna drop the belly down, coming into this really arched back, and we're gonna take the gaze all the way up. Yeah. And then really pushing down into the hands, we're gonna inhale, curl the spine all the way up. Bring the gaze between the thighs as we push the mat away with our hands. Try to bring our thoracic spine, the middle of our spine, up towards the ceiling. And then take the cow pose, dropping the belly, taking the gaze up. Imagine you're like a little bowl here, and you can collect any rainwater. And then on your exhale, you're pushing all the rainwater out as you come into your cat pose. Beautiful. A couple more rounds here. Feeling free to get out of like this like rigid idea of what yoga should look like and getting a little fluid. Like maybe you look over your hips, maybe you sink back to your knees and round up. Just taking a few moments to make this a little bit fun, right? Time is so valuable and so important, and here you are taking a little time to move your body, so make it a little fun. Nice, beautiful. We're going to come back to this tabletop pose, and here I want us to really notice the middle of our spine. So we can come into a tabletop and kind of have like this dropping of the middle spine, but here I really want you to push into your knuckles and like the outer circle of your palm here, so that you can find protraction in your shoulders and lift the middle of your back, so you're making one long spine. Nice, beautiful. Finding that ab engagement here. We're going to inhale. We're going to lift the right leg up towards the right side of the room, like we're a dog peeing on a hydrant here. And then checking everything out here, noticing that the shoulders are stacked over the hands, and that left knee is directly underneath the left hip. Adding on here, or staying here if this feels great, we're just gonna make some circles with a knee, as small or big as you want here. Yeah, one more circle to the back or whichever way you're going. And then we're gonna circle the opposite way here. Yeah, trying to keep the shoulders stacked, not collapsing in. One more circle here, and then come back to center. Nice. Find your balance in your hands and your knees here, and then find lightness in the left knee here. The gaze is down between the hands, and we're going to inhale, lift the left leg up into this hydrant pose. Staying here or adding on by taking those nice juicy circles. Yeah, coming to the front, pushing through the hands, finding the shoulder engagement, not collapsing in, and then taking it to the opposite side. Yeah, maybe even noticing the core that's turned on. Beautiful. One more circle here. Set that knee down. We're going to bring the knees out wide and the toes touching at the back of the mat. Walking the hands forward, sinking the hips down, coming into our child's pose. Resting the forehead onto a block or the mat here, or the grass or carpet, whatever you're on. And really letting the belly sink between the thighs here. Yeah, and coming back to the breath. The breath is the pathway into the present moment. So just really being present here. Noticing the mat underneath your fingers as you reach them out and walk them towards the front of the room. Notice any tightness or gripping in the glutes, and let them sink a little bit closer towards your heels. Yeah. Inhale and feel the breath travel down the spine here, elongating, creating space. And exhale everything out, letting go of whatever's not serving you in this moment. The to-do list, what's for dinner, etc. Beautiful. Taking two more intentional breaths here. Practicing our inhales and our exhales. Yes, nice. And then nice and gently, we're gonna slowly come all the way up to our tabletop pose here. Nice. And we're gonna come into our first downward facing dog. So we're gonna curl the toes under, pushing through the hands. We're gonna inhale, keep the knees bent here, and lift the hips up and back. Yeah, dropping the head between the biceps, maybe walking the hands to a spot wherever you can make this inverted V shape. So we're trying to find length in not only the spine here, but in the back of the legs, the hamstring, the neck. If you're finding you have any wrist issues here, feel free to roll the top of your mat a couple times or a towel and just place them underneath this area where your thumb bone begins so that your fingers are splayed over the mat here. And then bending the knees and walking the dog out here. Taking a moment to just find this downward dog. Like our body doesn't normally go into this position, so it takes practice. Yoga, like our breath work, is a practice of coming to the mat and just showing up for ourselves. Like it's an act of love. So lovingly bend your knees a few more times here and shake the head yes. Yes to loving ourselves and being content in this moment. And no to anything that's not serving us right here and right now. Beautiful. And then find 2 breaths of stillness here in your downward facing dog, lifting the hips up and back and trying to sink the heels down towards the mat, even if they don't reach. Just this idea of finding length and space. Nice. One more breath here. And then we'll gently come down to our knees to our tabletop pose. Resettling our hands underneath the shoulders, refinding the knees underneath the hips. Nice. We're going to come into a bird dog pose. So on our next inhale, we're going to find lightness in our right hand and bring it all the way to the front of the room here. The palm is facing the left side of the room and the thumb is up towards the ceiling. So from here, we're going to really plug that shoulder in. We're going to draw the arm into the shoulder socket and find that the bicep and the shoulder are in line with one another. Nice. Staying here or adding on some balance and some core work. We're going to inhale and lift the left leg out long, toes pointed down. Taking a peek underneath to make sure you can see your toes. And spreading out all the way from the fingers to the toes. Feeling that shoulder blade plugged in, feeling the hip and the hip socket here. And breathing into the core for one more breath, pushing up and away. Nice. Set that hand down, the knee down. Refine the balance. And we'll take it to the other side. Inhale, lifting the left hand up, thumb facing towards the ceiling. And we're going to extend the right foot out long behind us. Checking in with that hip to make sure that the hips are in line by taking a peek at your toes. Nice. Breathing from fingertip to toes here. Finding that back leg engaged, that back calf, that back thigh. Yeah, finding your belly button drawing up and into your spine. And finding the energy shooting out even your fingers here. Staying for one more breath. And then set that knee down, set that hand down, take a cat and cow or take a peek over your shoulders, make little C shapes here. Nice. All right. Let's come back into downward facing dog. Finding the hands spread out, curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back, dropping the head between the biceps here. Nice. We won't stay here long. We're just finding a recentering of breath and the length in the spine. And then we're all going to come up onto our tippy toes if we're not there already. And then we're going to take as many steps as we possibly can to meet our hands at the front of the mat, trying to bring our awareness into our shoulders, into our palms, and then finding a nice juicy forward fold at the top of the mat here. Feeling free to bend your knees as much as you need to take us out of the glutes and the hamstrings and to put it into your spine. Yeah, just letting your belly come down and over the tops of your thighs and dropping the crown of the head down towards the mat. Yeah, so I named this class today about something about nature, about wind specifically, not only because this is a virtual version of yoga in the park, but I was in the forest today with a friend, and the wind, every time we needed like a confirmation, would just swell up and blow. And it was so beautiful because today, when I got home from my walk, I noticed that there was pollen all over everything. So the wind had been blowing all the pollen from the trees so that they can do their springtime stuff and blossom. So taking a few more breaths here, feeling the wind come in and out through your nose or your mouth. And maybe feeling like a sense of renewal, of vitality here. Beautiful. Plugging into all four corners of the feet, the front big toes, the pinky toe edges, and both sides of the heels. We're going to slowly roll all the way up to an extended mountain pose, to a standing pose. Feeling free to take as much time as you need to roll all the way up. Keeping a nice bend in the knees. And then bringing the hands all the way up, taking the gaze up, taking a full body stretch. Lifting the arches in and up. And then exhale, we'll all fold forward. Nice. Coming back into this present moment, letting anything you have on your mind to just kindly step aside. Noticing what it feels like to stand on whatever you're standing. Notice what it feels like to actually let your head go. There's not many things we do in our life that we just let our head hang like this. So really relish it for the next 2 breaths. Letting all of the vertebrae decompress here. Nice. And on your next inhale, we're going to slide the palms of the hands onto the tops of the feet and up onto the shins, up onto the knees, and onto the thighs. On our next inhale, we're going to lift up halfway, creating length from the tail to the spine here. Drawing our core in, drawing our belly button in and up to find this lift. Making this inverted L shape here. We're going to draw the shoulder blades together and let the heart drop down towards the mat for 1 more breath. And then we're going to exhale and fold all the way down. Nice, rooting down into the feet. We're going to inhale, rise all the way up. Going as fast or slow as you want. Bringing the hands all the way up. And exhale the hands down to heart center. Taking 1 moment here to recenter, to find your breath, to check in with your body here. Notice if there is any tightness or sensations. And sending your breath to those areas. Yeah, just sending a little bit of TLC to the specific places that we might be holding on to anything. Beautiful. On your next inhale, we'll drop the arms down to reach them all the way up, extended mountain pose. And then fold forward at the top of your mat for forward fold. Nice. Inhale, lift up halfway. We're going to plant the hands onto the ground here. And we're going to step the left foot back, coming into a low lunge. Not setting that back knee down, but noticing that the front knee is over the front ankle. Finding length in the neck as the crown of the head shoots forward. The back leg is nice and engaged here, and the heel is stacked over the toes. Nice. Beautiful. We're going to step to the front of our mat. So finding lightness in our back foot, we're going to step up, find forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, bringing the hands onto the shins and the thighs. Finding that length, finding that engagement in the core. And then exhale, fold. Surrender all the way completely. Nice. Planting the hands onto the mat. We're going to step the right foot to the back edge of the mat, coming into a lunge here. Stacking that front knee over the ankle. Finding that left hip crease, drawing back. As we find engagement in that back leg by drawing it up. Yeah, trying to keep the spine nice and long here. And then bringing both hands to the mat, we're going to step that back foot to the back of the mat, coming into high plank pose. Yeah, and repositioning yourself if you need to, coming down onto the knees if you need to, doing what feels good in your body. Otherwise, we're going to push up and through the hands, finding that protraction in the shoulders. Noticing that our hips aren't lifted too high or too low, but that Goldilocks spot where the abs are engaged. Nice. One more breath here. And we'll slowly lower all the way down to the mat, bringing the elbows in towards the body. Nice. Bringing the hands out in front of us. We're going to find a Sphinx pose. So the hands are on the ground and the forearms are out in front of us. We have the elbows stacked under the shoulders here. And we're noticing that our pelvis and the tops of the feet are into the mat here. The gaze is between the hands here as the neck is nice and long. And we're bringing our breath to our lower back. So we were just kind of working on the psoas in the hips and the lower back. And now we're traveling up a little bit higher in the spine into that lumbar spine area. Nice. Staying here, taking a peek over your left shoulder, opening up in the front of the neck. And then all the way back through center and over to the left side. Nice. Coming all the way back through center here. And we'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders here and set the chin and the chest down. Setting the forehead onto the mat, resting a cheek if that feels good. And just doing nothing for 2 more breaths. Yeah. Rest is as important in our postures, in our asanas. Beautiful. Sorry, that was very loud. Nice. Okay, so we're going to curl the toes under here. Pressing into the tops of the hands. We're going to have a little fun. We can just push up to tabletop and downward dog. Otherwise, we can get into down dog in a fun way. So curling those toes under and toning the knees and the thighs off the earth. We're going to push into the hands here. We're going to slowly start to lift our body. And what we do, we're going to draw our elbows and our shoulder blades up and together. Drawing the pit of our stomach up, 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 and then coming into a downward facing dog. Nice. Just meeting there. If it takes you a few times, that's great. Have fun with it. Nice. Pedaling up the feet as needed. Beautiful. So we're going to find lightness in the right foot here. We're going to inhale, press through the hands as we lift the right heel up towards the ceiling, keeping the toes pointed down. Trying to keep the hips aligned and square to the mat here. And finding that inner thigh working as we lift. So that can look like this, that can look like this, or this. Knowing that all of our bodies are different. And being okay with that. Nice. Now we're going to begin to open up that hip. So we're going to draw our right heel towards our left bum. And we're going to slowly begin to stack the hips here. Try to let that back foot get nice and heavy. Taking a peek under the right shoulder. Maybe straightening the leg or moving the foot. Making circles here. Nice. One more breath. And then come all the way back through center. We're going to bring the foot all the way down to the back of the mat, downward facing dog. Nice. We're going to take that to the opposite side. On our next inhale, lifting the left foot up, keeping the toes pointed down first, finding the hips square to the mat. Nice, really pushing the hands away from the mat here, finding that engagement in all 3 points of contact with the earth. And then we're going to slowly open up by drawing that back heel towards the bum, stacking the hips, taking a peek underneath that left armpit. And then making some circles here, moving that leg around. Yeah, whatever feels good. Letting that foot get nice and heavy. One more breath, and then we'll come back through center and downward facing dog. Nice. Beautiful. Coming down onto the hands and the knees here. We're going to walk the hands out towards the tops of the mat. Keeping the hips stacked directly over the knees, we're going to find an extended puppy pose, dropping the chest down towards the mat, bringing the forehead or the chin to rest on the mat here. Yeah, breathing into the shoulders and trying to create space where maybe before there wasn't so much space. And maybe that looks like mental space or emotional space or actual space. Nice. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Feeling the wind of your breath in and out through your lungs. Beautiful. And gently coming back to your tabletop. And pushing back to downward facing dog. Nice. We're going to stay here for 1 more breath. And on our next inhale, we're going to find lightness in our right foot, and we're going to bring our right knee to meet our right elbow here, coming into a high plank pose. Then we're going to set that right foot down, pivot on the back foot, and come up for our warrior 2, cartwheeling the hands open, trying to find that front knee stacked over the front foot here. We're going to bring our arms out to T if they're not there already, and make sure that both the front and the back hand are nice and turned on. Finding both feet equally engaged into the mat. So like even that back foot edge and all the way to the pinky toe edge of the front foot. And then wherever you're at, drop the shoulders away from the ears, bend in the front knee. Yeah, nice, beautiful. One more breath. Taking the gaze over those front fingertips. And then we're gonna exhale. We're gonna bring the right arm, pretending that we're holding like a tray, a pizza, a cake. We're gonna bring that arm down to the right thigh here and reach the left arm all the way towards the front of the room. Nice. And when we get here, it's easy to collapse into that front thigh. So think lift. Lift the front of the body up and away from that arm and the thigh here. Trying to spiral the left ribs open towards the ceiling. Maybe even taking the gaze up. Nice. One more breath here. And then we're going to bring both hands to the inside of the front foot, pivoting on the back toes here. Nice. Finding the left foot in line with the finding the left hand in line with that front right foot. We're going to inhale, reach the right arm all the way up towards the ceiling and find a twist. Yeah, nice. Letting the shoulders stack, or maybe letting that top hand open up a little bit bigger. Nice. One more breath here. And then exhale, we'll bring that hand down to frame the front foot and step that back foot back, downward facing dog. Pedaling up the feet, finding that length, finding that recentering of breath. Right? It's hard to do all of these asanas, these poses, if our mind is somewhere else. Nice. We'll come into that on the other side. So we're going to find our hands plugged in. On our next inhale, we're going to bring our left knee to meet our left tricep, rolling forward to like an almost high plank. Then setting that left foot down, pivoting on that back foot, And cartwheeling the hands open for a warrior two. Yeah, so this calls for a lot going on in the hips. So if you're a little tight in the hips still, maybe you need to make your stance a little bit shorter. Otherwise, find your stance so that your front knee is pushing over towards the pinky toe edge and not collapsing in towards center. Bringing the hands out to T and dropping the shoulders away from the ears as you expand all the way from the heart center out. Taking the gaze over the front fingers here and finding a little bit more bend in that front knee. Find softness in the face and the jaw. And then bring that left forearm down to the left thigh, reaching that right hand over the ear towards the top of the broom. Nice. Still finding that back foot nice and plugged into the mat. And finding that you're not collapsing in your shoulder. Finding that engagement as you lift up and out. One more breath here. Nice. And we're going to drop both hands down to the inside of that front foot. Pivot on the back toes here so the knee's pointing down. And then finding the right hand down on the ground, we'll lift the left hand up, finding a twist. Yeah. And on your inhale, think length from fingertip to fingertip, from the crown to the tail. And on your exhale, think extension as you extend the arms back. Nice. One more breath here. And slowly bring that hand down. Step that back foot. Step the front foot to meet the back, coming into a plank. Coming down to the knees if that feels good. Or adding on a vinyasa by drawing the arms in, the elbows in as we lower halfway down. Keep a lift in the chest. Then find upward facing dog, rolling onto the tops of the feet, bringing the heart back, stacking the shoulders over the wrists. And then finding your downward facing dog. Nice, yeah. We'll all come down onto our knees here. We're gonna come into a kneeling pose. So curling the toes under here and sitting our heels back onto, sitting our bum back onto our heels. Nice. We're gonna check to make sure that all 10 toes are curled under. And we won't stay here long because this is a pretty intense pose sometimes. But we're just gonna find length from our tail to our crown, making sure our spine is nice and long. Nice, one more breath here. And then exhale, come into tabletop, remove the feet here and slap the tops of the feet onto the mat. Yeah, nice. Slap that out. Beautiful. And then coming back just into a normal kneeling pose. So we're sitting on our bum. Our heels are on our bum. We're going to come into a little shoulder opener. So we're going to bring both hands behind our back and interlace the fingers here. Now, if you have any shoulder problems, any rotator cuff injuries, or if your shoulders are just tight, this might not be available to you at this moment. So feeling free just to grab onto the back of your shirt or pants here if that feels good. Nice. So once we interlace our fingers, we're going to drop the knuckles down towards the ground as we lift the heart open, taking the gaze up just for a breath, and then bringing our gaze back to neutral. We're going to inhale, bring both of the hands over to the right waist, drawing the elbows towards one another and opening up through the chest here. Nice. Breathing into the collarbones, into the shoulder girdle. Breathing into any tightness. Now staying here, we're going to add on by dropping the right shoulder over, dropping the right ear over to the right shoulder. Yeah, trying to keep the shoulders nice and level to one another here. And then staying for one more breath. Nice, coming back up to center and releasing the hands out, shaking the fingertips out. Nice. And we'll take that on the opposite side. And maybe the side looks better for you, maybe it looks different. Just not being hard on yourself wherever you're at. So grabbing onto your shirt or your pants if that works for you, or interlacing the fingers here, drawing the knuckles down, lifting the heart up towards the ceiling just for one breath. And then coming back to center, we're going to draw the hands together and over to the left waist here. Try to draw the elbows towards one another as we bring the shoulder blades to kiss. Yeah, nice. Staying here, adding on by dropping the left shoulder over towards the left. Man, I'm really getting it messed up today. Dropping the left ear over to the left shoulder. Yeah, breathing into any tightness. Like I feel this in my bicep, in my spine, and my neck. Finding that spot between like discomfort and ease here, between effort and ease. If you feel any pain, pinching pain, to back off, but looking for that space, that precipice to find that opening. One more breath here. And slowly come back to center, release out, shake the arms out. We'll stay on our knees just for one more pose. So we're gonna bring the arms out to T here, and we're gonna flip both hands up towards the ceiling. Nice. Try to keep the fingertips in line with the shoulders here and dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Finding those arms plugged into the shoulder sockets again. We're gonna drop the left hand down towards the mat, or I'm sorry, the left palm down towards the mat, and we're gonna take a peek over at our right hand. Extending out through the fingertips, the biceps, the triceps. And we're gonna exhale, flip the right hand down as we flip the left hand up, taking a peek at it. Nice. Beautiful. Breathing here into any sensations. Trying to not to lock the elbows out too much. And we'll inhale, flip sides, flipping the right hand up, the left hand down, taking a peek at the right hand. And then going through this a couple times, switching hands, switching sides. Using both sides of our body as at once can be challenging. Beautiful. Look at the palms one more time each side. And then bring the hands down, shake the hands down. Nice. We're going to bring the legs out in front of us, coming into a seated pose. So finding both sit bones on the ground here again. Moving anything out of the way if you need to. We're going to flex the feet here and bring the hands alongside the hips, pressing down into blocks or books or right into the mat. Finding length here as the crown of the head draws up. Nice. Beautiful. Finding just this nice like neutralizer in the spine. Beautiful. One more breath. Nice. We're going to release out and we're going to bring the soles of the feet on the ground as we scooch our bum to a little bit closer to our heels so we have room to lay all the way down on our mat. Moving any hair or hoods out of the way as necessary. We're going to come into a bridge pose. So we're going to want to make sure all four corners of our feet are plugged into the mat. And our feet are about hip width distance here. So maybe you can take your hands to either side of your ankles just to check that they're hip width distance. Hey, buddy. And then bringing the hands alongside the hips here. And noticing if we need to bring our feet out a little bit further from the body or a little bit closer in. We want all four corners of the feet plugged into the ground. Nice. Now on our next inhale, we're going to engage our abs in the front of our thighs, and we're going to lift the hips up, coming into a bridge. Yeah, nice. Trying to keep the glutes out of this is a hard thing, but try to not like just lift from the bum, lifting from the front of the body rather than the back of the body. Nice. Hi, buddy. On our next inhale, we're going to lift the arms all the way up towards the ceiling, keeping the hips lifted. And then we're going to slowly let the backs of the hands drop down towards the earth here behind us.
lifting up, and then exhale, come all the way down. Nice. Take a cycle of breath here, in and out through the nose or the mouth. And on our next inhale, we're going to lift the hips up here. Yeah, nice. Feeling the back of the head planted in and feeling all four corners of the feet engaged, drawing the knees towards one another here. On our next inhale, lift the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Stay lifted. Feel the shoulder blades plugged into the earth here. And on your exhale, set the hips and the hands down at the same time. Nice. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, lift the hips up. Lift the arms all the way to the back of the room. Lifting up a little bit higher, staying here, breathing even when it gets hard. Trying to train our mind and our body to know that even when things are tough, we can continue on. It's our mindset, right? On our next inhale, lift the hands all the way up towards the ceiling. And exhale, set the bum, the hips, and the hands all the way down to the mat. Nice. Finding Supta Baddha Konasana here. The soles of the feet together, the knees out wide in like a butterfly pose. The lower back is nice and planted into the earth. And you can bring the hands out to T here if that feels good. Noticing that all 10 toes are pushing in towards one another. And finding that space, like maybe you want this to be a little bit more challenging by bringing the feet closer to the body. Maybe you need it to be a little bit restorative by bringing the feet further out. Nice. Maybe gently close the eyes here. And just take a moment to think of 2 things that you're grateful for. Something to be thankful. Right? We have so much in our lives, even if it doesn't seem like it. Coming from a place of abundance instead of scarcity, by noticing, by acknowledging. Beautiful. Bringing the hands to the outsides of the knees. We're going to close the knees here like a book. And we're going to lift the legs all the way up towards the ceiling here. Keeping the lower back nice and rooted in the earth. And bending the knees as much as you need here. Wherever you're at, just flexing the toes down towards the nose so that we can have engagement even in the backs of the legs here. Nice. We'll stay here for a couple more breaths. Feeling our feet above our head, a great thing to do all of the time if you're sitting, if you're standing. Obviously, you can't do that at the same time, but like if you are sitting in your job a lot or if you're walking a lot in your job, just finding this counterbalance can help us find more balance in our life. Nice. Beautiful. 3 more breaths here. And then gently bringing the knees into the chest when you are complete. Yeah. Maybe you're reaching around for your shins and rocking side to side on your lower back. Yeah, that feels so nice. A free massage. Beautiful. And then bringing the arms out to T here. The palms are gonna be flipped down towards the mat, towards the ground. And we're gonna just drop the knees over to the right side of the mat here, trying to keep the shoulder blades plugged into the earth. And maybe staying here or adding on by bringing the gaze all the way to the left side of the room. And even here, dropping the shoulders away from the ears, finding length from fingertip to fingertip. Finding this delicious, juicy stretch in the spine, in the middle of the back, all the way from the hip to the shoulder. Nice. 1 more breath here. And then bringing your awareness to your core, we'll inhale, bring the knees back up to center. And then exhale, drop them all the way down to the left side of the mat here. Feeling free to bring like a fist between your knees if your knees don't quite touch and it's uncomfortable. Feeling free to extend a leg or both legs if that feels more comfortable. Just trying to find this like nice comfy twist here. Wherever you're at, keeping the shoulder blades reaching down towards the mat. Maybe adding on the gaze here, the drishti over to the right side of the room. And coming back to the breath if the mind begins to wander again, right? We're almost through with our practice and not letting the mind fill up with these constant thoughts that it's programmed to go to can be a lot of work. So just reminding yourself gently to feel the inside of this room, the floor, your breath. Notice the noises and the smells. And on your next inhale, we're going to pull the knees into the chest here. And we're going to wrap both arms around them. Draw the forehead up towards the knees. Inhale through the nose. Then exhale out through the mouth. Dropping the shoulders down to the earth. We're going to start to rock and roll lengthwise on our spine. Just from front to back. And then we'll eventually make our way up to a nice seat here. Setting up for a frog pose. So coming lengthwise, wherever you're at, whatever you're on, folding your mat under, if you have one, to help protect your knees. We're going to bring the knees out nice and wide. And then we're going to bring the feet out, the toes out to the right and the left side here. If that's a little bit much, I'll turn around so you can see. You can bring the toes pointing in towards one another here. And then we'll gently walk the hands forward. Yeah. Resting the chest and the forehead down. Feeling free here to like even grab any props. I should have prefaced this pose with that. If you need a couch cushion or a block or a dog to lay on, I'd say you can borrow mine, but I don't know how to get in there too. And just breathing into the opening here. We can store a lot of energy in our hips, a lot of emotion in our hips. So just sending the breath to the hips here. We'll stay here for a minute. Yeah. Coming back to the inhale and the exhale, feeling the stomach expand and deflate. And maybe noticing the sound of the wind outside or the wind in your body. In and out through your nose, your mouth. Right. Halfway done here. Yeah. Beautiful. Three more nice deep breaths. Noticing any sensations that arise and breathing through them. Knowing just like everything, this too is temporary. This maybe discomfort or perhaps perfect comfortableness. And we'll slowly begin to release out by bringing the hands underneath the shoulders here, nice and slow, like coming into tabletop pose and taking a cat and cow to release out any of the tension. Yeah, maybe circling the hips. Nice, beautiful. And we'll slowly make our way
all the way onto our backs here, setting up for our final pose, our Savasana. Yeah, when you get to a laying down position, taking any last movements or adjustments that you need to make, maybe you need to take a full body stretch, maybe you need to put some socks on. So just listening to what you need as we sit in this last moment of rest for a few minutes here. Yeah, letting the hands splay out to either side, letting the toes splay out to the right and the left to release in the IT bands. Nestling the shoulders under here and just allowing yourself to get nice and comfy. Um, yeah, allowing yourself to relax. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to read a poem by Mary Oliver, inspired by the trees. And it is called When I Am Among the Trees. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locusts, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches. And they call again. It's simple, they say, and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. I'll leave you in some breaths of silence here. And then gently begin to deepen your breath here, feeling your stomach expand and contract. Gently begin to bring small movement to your fingers and your toes. Gently rock your head side to side. And then pulling one knee in at a time to your chest. First the right, then the left. Gently roll over to the right or left side to find yourself in a fetal pose, a symbol of rebirth, of life, of the cycle that we're constantly going through. Placing the top hand down onto the ground to ground yourself one last time in this practice. And remember, it's simple. You too have come into the world to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. Slowly coming out of your Savasana, your practice whenever you're ready by pushing into your top hand and coming into a nice, easy seat. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, for showing up not just for me, but for yourself, right? Yoga is truly an act of love for yourself. So I honor and salute that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll just tell you a few things that's going on my end since we have a couple minutes left. Um, I will be doing a couple more live streams in the future, hopefully doing some collaborations with some gorgeous people out there. So I really like it if you stay tuned. I'll be having an email sign up sheet somewhere on either my website or Instagram or whatever. But if you'd like any details on that, feel free to DM me or message me and send me your email. I would love to share with you the future magic that's happening. And with that, I will bid you all a lovely night. Stay inspired by the simple things that are around you. Thanks. How do I turn this off?